What's going on out there, guys? I have a video I wanted to share with you guys real quick. I thought it was kind of cool. Buddy contacted me because I had a battery that was completely toast. He kind of told me about how you can recharge them from completely dead. Instead of throwing them away and going and getting a new one, you just go ahead and recharge them, and brings them all back to life. And I've already tried it on a car battery and it worked, and I tried it on a lawnmower battery that worked. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do it real quick. It's kind of handy and it'll save you a lot of money. It saved me some money already, so let's get to it. So all right, guys, excuse the wind. It's a little windy out here, but what I'm gonna do real quick is I got this old lawnmower, and I got this old battery. This old battery has been sitting all winter long. It was dead before we started, so it should be completely kaput. I'm gonna go ahead and show on the power meter, and I'll show you how dead it is. Basically what I do normally in a situation like this is I'd take this battery out, go get a new one and put it back in, which would cost, you know, $100 or $150 depending on where you get them. So this is just it's actually a 2020 battery, so it's a few years old, the Everstart, and pretty good sized battery. So what I'm going to do is pull it out real quick, and then I'll show you where to go from there. All right, guys, got the battery out. Here it is. I went ahead and set it on this piece of wood out here in the garage. Now what I'm going to do is got this nifty Harbor Freight voltage meter. Just see the reading is 0 on it. I'll go ahead and touch one there, touch one here. 0 reading, nothing at all. Whoop, it's starting to go up. Nope, it's dead. So this thing's completely dead. I'm telling you, this thing, usually when you let a battery sit over the winter, they usually die, and that's usually when I was like, I usually run trickle chargers on every single thing I got, all my toys. Put trickle chargers on them just to make sure they don't have to replace the battery or anything like that. But ever since I've learned how to do this now, it's awesome. And so what I'm gonna do is, I got a dead battery. I'm gonna go ahead, and what you do is you go into Walmart, you buy one of these bad boys. It's the Shoemaker 200 amp battery charger, and I think it was $114 to $120. That's all it was. So for $120, you can go ahead and save you. I mean, just one charge can get you that money worth out. So it's really worth it to do it. So, all right, so what I'm gonna do to start off is I'm gonna go ahead and pop the caps off the top of this battery, which is this one and this one. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so what you'll do is you're gonna take a flathead screwdriver, just pry up under it. Try not to get any of that fluid on you because that's the battery acid part. I should be wearing gloves, but these should pop off without getting anything on me. So there you go. Now what you'll do is you'll look down each and every one of these ports. Let me show you. All right, guys. So I'll go ahead and clean this off completely. Make sure it's clear of all this dirt and debris. I got a vacuum sitting right here. I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum it up, and then I'll wipe it down so nothing falls in there. And when you look down each and every one of these holes, you'll notice there's a fluid in there, which is the battery acid. And it looks to be probably in here, so it's really low. So what I'll do is I'll fill it up so that this is the bottom of your cap, so that it's just under the bottom of your cap by a little bit. Okay, so you'll look down in there. You're gonna use distilled water. Just pour your distilled water in each one until they kind of come up to the higher area where you can see them, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, guys, now that I got it all nice and cleaned up, it's distilled water. That's all it is. You just get it from your grocery store. Distilled water, and you'll go ahead and pour it in there and keep an eye on it. I'm getting more on the battery than I am in the holes. I hope you guys can see down these. probably can't. Like I said, just make them basically so that you can see the water up top. Just don't work 100% of the time from what I hear. If the battery's too shot, then it won't come back to life, but so far I've had some. I had one in my Razor, which is about the same size battery as this, and that thing sat for hell, probably 2 years, and it's an old battery, and it was dead. So I went ahead and did this, and it actually worked. It came back to life and it worked. So I'll go ahead and clean all this up. Now, as you can see, each and every one of these are, you know, probably about that much from the top. We'll clean this up. Make sure you clean off your battery posts while you're doing this too. So then it will be ready and clean and everything will be good to go. So, all right, on to the next step. What we're gonna do is go ahead and hook this up. Okay guys, so as you can see, I have the positive and negative terminals hooked up, positive and negative. Here's our fluid. Make sure you don't get it too high or it's gonna overflow. So, you know, just below the surface. And what you're gonna do is, on the Walmart one, I don't know about all the other ones, but on the charger I have, which is this one, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna flip it to the 200 amp right here. And then mine's got a timer on it. So what you'll do is we're gonna run 15-minute intervals. So flip it down to 15, let it run. You're gonna notice your battery running over a little. So I'm saying you don't want it too high because you don't want it to overflow. So I got my little rag here. I'm just gonna wipe away. Be careful with the whole electricity part and not shocking the piss out of yourself. So these are all gonna boil. The one I had in that Razor the other day, what it did was, for a long time there, since it was so dead, the battery, maybe like this one and this one would start bubbling, and it was like slowly bubbling, and it took it a while to do it. This one's actually doing it right away, so I don't think it's quite as toast as the other one was, but it would start working its way from the outside ones, and then it'd start going to the next one and the next one as I'd go. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna do this 5 times. You're gonna go 15 minutes, let it sit, set a timer for an hour, let it run an hour with nothing, put it back on for another 15 minutes, let it run for an hour. So you'll do 15 minutes of actually charging, and then a rest period when nothing's going on, and then turn it back on 15 minutes, shut it off, let it run another 15 minutes. So you're gonna do 5 different intervals of that. Charge 15 minutes, let it sit for an hour. Charge 15 minutes, let it sit for an hour. You'll do that 5 times. And if by the end of that time you don't have bubbling in these cells here, then your battery's probably toast, or you'd want to go a little bit more. So what you want to make sure you do is, when you get down to the batteries such as the ATV right here, the battery out of it, or that smaller lawnmower battery I did the other day, I couldn't pop the caps off the top at all. So what I did was I ran one interval of 200 watts, and you want to kind of keep an eye on the heat and touch the side, and because it'll get real hot because it's charging too much. So I ran one interval of that, then I flipped it over to the 40 right there, and I ran 5 or 6 intervals of that. So 15 minutes, let it sit for an hour, charge for 15 minutes, let it sit for an hour. So on that one, the lower wattage didn't get it as hot, so, and it still worked. So what we're gonna do is just, like I said, let this sit for 15 minutes, and when it shuts off, I'll be right back. As you see, my timer still has about 4 minutes left. Still bubbling good. I think this one's gonna be a pretty good success. What you wanna make sure though is don't put as much water as I just did in this. The last couple I did, it barely did anything bubbling wise. This one seems to be bubbling a lot more. Make sure you keep touching the side of the battery to make sure it's not getting too hot. Everything's feeling pretty good. I'm getting a good bubble off every single one of these cylinders, so we're just gonna keep going and do the 15-minute course. Okay guys, that went ahead and cut off. That's the first 15-minute interval. So stop boiling. I usually just go ahead and leave it hooked up, set a timer for an hour on my phone, and then after an hour I'll come back and start it back up again for another 15 minutes. Okay guys, alarm went off. It's been an hour. We're gonna go ahead and kick it back up to 15 minutes again. 200. Now watch your bubble. Just kick back. Make sure you keep an eye on it. I probably wouldn't start it and just walk off because you never know what's gonna go on over here because it's a little bubbling and stuff. So let it run 15 minutes. All right guys, we're at that 15-minute cycle. Battery's still looking good. It's feeling a little warm, but that's okay. As long as it don't get hot. I'll go ahead and set my timer for another hour and let it sit. Okay guys, hour's up. It's round 3. Another 15 minutes. Lovely. All right guys, it's the end of round 3. I'm gonna let it sit another hour. I'm gonna turn it down to the 40 because she's getting warm now. I think it's still boiling, so I'm gonna run it 2 more times off of the 40 amp and then we'll go from there. I think it'll be good. So I'm gonna set my clock to another hour. Okay guys, figured I'd spare you the boredom. Ran it 5 times. 3 times on 200, 2 times on 400. And that's an hour break in between, so let's see what we got. Here's your negative. Got my voltmeter down here. Zeroed. And there she is. Fully charged now. Worked out right. So basically that was what you got to do. I think the smaller the battery you go, the more you don't want to use that 200. You want to use the 40. Usually I'll use that 200 maybe once or twice on the smaller batteries. Just depends on how hot they get. Make sure you shut it down if it gets too hot because you don't want it to blow up. But that's it, man. That's that battery charger has saved me a lot of money. Here's another good battery. I'm done. This probably would have been $100 and some bucks, I'm sure. But might save you some dough. I mean, 120 bucks. 120 bucks. You already paid for itself. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that video with you real quick. Like, subscribe, tell me what y'all think. Hopefully it helps you guys out. We'll see you on the next one. Laters.